Hi everyone, it's Mike from Turn On Your Love Pie, where we always turn on our love pie every day and leave it on. And today I'm going to show you a quick lunch that's really a nice piece of comfort food. One nice comfort food that I always like is pot pie. But I'm also conscious of carb control and generally look for keto-friendly meals. So a pot pie in a bowl with no crust would be really nice. So that's what I'm going to show you. It's pot pie in a bowl, and the ingredients are as follows. This is 114 grams of zucchini, 130 grams of broccoli, 100 grams of sweet yellow onion, 100 grams of roast beef, some fresh cilantro. There's 80 grams of kale in here, and this is 20 grams of chopped pecans. And then I'll put the spices below. But once you get to this point, I just turn on the stove on a medium heat, and then chop the onion first, because you can just pop that in and it'll take a few minutes to cook, and it'll give your onion a little bit of chance to caramelize. But it doesn't really matter what shape your onion's in. I just generally just chop it whatever way, relatively small pieces. And now that the pan's heating up, I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of virgin coconut oil. So I'm going to cook most of the stuff in coconut oil. So I'll plop that into the pan and let that heat up as I continue chopping. One of the first things I'm going to put in is the zucchini, so I'll cut that next. Now I'm going to line them up right here on the cutting board so I can just scrape it in next as everything heats up. And I always keep salt next to the pan, because as you start to saute things, you got to put salt in on top of the vegetables, or they won't have flavor. But the broccoli, I like including a little bit of the stalk in my broccoli. And because it's like a pot pie thing, I'm going to go for relatively small pieces of florets. Alright, so and then the last thing, I'm just going to slice up this roast beef into random sized pieces. This is just leftover cold cuts. And for this recipe, you can put any kind of meat in. Tailor pork roll, leftover chicken, ribs, rib meat anyway, or whatever you got. Steak. Almost, you could, but if it's already cooked, it's easier. You're just going to put it at the end and heat it up with boiling, everything that's either boiling or sauteing still. So now that the coconut oil is heated up, I'm just going to slide in my onions first. And I'll give the onions just a pinch of salt. That helps draw the liquid out of them. So let that cook for just a few minutes. Alright, now that the onions have cooked for about 5 minutes over medium heat, I'll go ahead and add in the zucchini. So I like that. The zucchini changes flavor once it's cooked enough. So you want to get that in a little earlier. And kale takes a long time to cook. So I'll put that in also with the zucchini. And then give that a nice pinch of salt. And I'll try to get some heat into the kale. I usually use just kale straight from the produce aisle, but they ran out, so this is bagged kale. It's still nice and fresh. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. I'll let the kale steam a little bit. That'll help it cook faster. So how does this meal actually comfort you, aside from just having fat in it and tasting delicious? There's actually some biochemistry involved here. So it's very easy to be, according to some, to be vitamin B1 deficient. And one of the ways you can get B1 or niacin into your diet is with nutritional yeast. So this is Bragg brand nutritional yeast, and it has, in 1 tablespoon, it has 160% of your daily recommended intake of niacin, and I'm using about 4 tablespoons. So, and this particular brand is also loaded with lots of other B vitamins: folate, B12, B6, thiamine. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup. That's a lot of all these B vitamins that actually can make you feel better. Vitamin B1 is particularly important in mood, and stabilizing your mood and your brainstem and energy production. So if you're feeling depressed and low energy, you could be vitamin B1 deficient. So this not only tastes delicious and is comforting from that point of view, it can actually comfort your body in terms of helping you feel better emotionally. So here now the kale and the zucchini are starting to really get to the right spot. The zucchini is starting to brown. The zucchini is starting to brown here. You can start seeing little pieces of the zucchini turning color, and the kale's turning light green. This is a good spot for the broccoli to go in, because the the kale still has a ways to go. And this ends up being a pretty big, substantial meal. So I'm going to stir it a bit, get the broccoli down to the bottom, get some heat on it. The broccoli doesn't take long to cook. So I'll give that a minute or two. Okay, the broccoli's starting to turn bright green. I'm going to start adding some spices to this. I like to add a little onion powder. And so this part is just to your taste. Add some garlic powder, or fresh garlic is better. I'm going to put in a little bit of turmeric. And then here goes the 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, which is a ton. And this is going to make a gravy, like a pot pie gravy. Now I'm going to add some butter to the pan. Butter and about 3 tablespoons of bone broth. I usually have homemade bone broth. So the bone broth and the nutritional yeast is going to combine and turn into a gravy. Very much like a pot pie. And since we're close to the end here, I'll toss in the roast beef and the cilantro leaves. Let that all combine. over a slightly lower heat. And the gravy's all mixed through here, and it's puddling on the bottom of the pan, but there's not a ton of it. You could add a little more butter if you wanted to be more gravy, or a little more bone broth. I could probably add a little more bone broth right now. And we're at the very end, so I'm going to put my pecans right into my bowl, and they'll just get warmed up by dumping this on top of it. Get this in the camera shot. Super easy to clean up because you just put lots of liquid in there. So anyway, there you go. It's now sort of like the filling of a pot pie, where you choose all the vegetables that you like and the meat, and it's covered in this delicious gravy. I feel better already. And this is Mike. I feel better already. This is Mike from Turn On Your Love Pie. Remember to turn it on and leave it on every day. Wish you were here.